Everybody, well, good morning in the UK. Good morning in the USA. Early, super early morning, Friday morning. Welcome, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe. Another live match presser, another match back to back away, this time in London. And we're going to hear from Eddie Howe as he previews the game this weekend, tomorrow, super early as well. That's tomorrow, 11 a.m. 11, no, well, 11 a.m. our kickoff, midday in the UK. The match kickoff midday. So there we go. Hope everyone is well. Mighty Win, how you doing?
Doing good, doing good. 12:30 kick-off tomorrow.
Oh, 12. Is it 12:30? Oh, okay, well
Yeah.
there we go. So 5:30.
The coverage will start at 12, but 12:30 kick-off. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
looking good, 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 good. Looking at all the
That's,
predictions in the thing, as everybody thinks it's going to be a walk in the park. Could it be another banana skin, or could we just step straight over banana skin like we did on Wednesday or whatever day it was?
yeah.
At Old Trafford, just step straight over that banana skin and kick their teeth in. Because that's certainly what, if we can just perform the way we're performing, it'll be a walk in the park, and he'll have a very pleasant press conference today, I would imagine, because, for example, he's been nominated Manager of the Month, Premier League Manager of the Month.
Yep. Well,
Isaac's been nominated both for Player of the Month and Goal of the Month. And Beer Viking, Jacob Murphy's been nominated for Player of the Month as well. 3 goals,
uh,
4 assists. So
well, that's
who'd have thought it, eh? Who'd have thought it?
that's well, obviously that's based on stats, which we do go on the Murphy thing. Uh, you've been defending the undefendable. But look at that. The first time the Eddie Howe has been on the podium is going to be this time around. Hopefully he wins it. He's certainly gotten the most points and he's turned the ship around.
Hard to,
Don't know that the Premier League will give him the coach of the month for making the common sense moves, but he's there. And first time there. Why? Because he got it. He made the right moves. He made
That's
the
right.
right moves,
He
the
had the
moves that he
right
needed.
moves, as he
So
always does.
before he didn't get there because he didn't make the right moves. As simple as that. Would
No,
you look at that?
he was
That's how it works. That's
making
how
the
it
right
works.
moves.
No, 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 whatever. Um, all right. So, well, let us know in the chat what you think, fellas and ladies. We see a lot of users already coming in. Happy birthday, Roger. Happy birthday,
Oh,
Roger.
happy birthday, Rog.
It looks like it's his birthday.
Same birthday as my son.
Yeah, there we go. Look at that. First birthday on my presser. First presser on my birthday. There we go. Interesting.
Well, happy
Uh,
birthday, bunny lad.
all right. And yeah, we're gonna wait on what Eddie Howe has to say. Obviously. Any particular? I think
Um,
this is gonna be another soft presser.
we're needing, by the way, predictions still from Andy, Trulls, Paul, Foxy, Steve Makala, George Eaton, Niall the Annihilator, and Beer Viking. So get your predictions in.
Have you looked at the community of the chat? I mean, I'm sorry, of the channel. Once again,
Nope.
old man. I tell this old man, fucking me, man, every day, bro. Ugh. Anyways, hit the like button, folks. Help us out. Help us out. Hit the like button. Even if you dislike what the mighty wind says, which we all do.
Community of the chat.
Which, by the way, that would be a good poll to bring up because it's probably got more votes on people's predictions.
Haven't got it
Uh,
anywhere. Memberships today, videos,
so
Spotify.
let me take a look at this. Um, 738 votes is going up. Certainly, 738 votes for the Tottenham versus Newcastle predictions. 84% saying the Newcastle will win. 4% the Tottenham will win. 4% Tottenham win. Wow, and 12% a draw. but 84% convincing out of 738 votes. That's pretty good right there. And also 748 votes is Newcastle United back to Champions League form. 73% maintain that why man. 73%. We are back in Champions League form. 27%. We have to wait. Not convinced yet. So there we go. There we gone. Um. Anyways,
Yeah, we've got a couple in here.
exactly.
Bell 3-2.
All you gotta do is look, old man. All you gotta do is look, man. There's quite a few of it actually. Niall Powell says 2-0 Newcastle. Oh wait, I said 3-1. I still maintain 3-1. Is the
Trolls 2-2.
is the
Hey, Trolls put a score in.
what are you guys predictions for tomorrow?
Beard 2-1, and yet Beard said 2-2 on the other one. Which one do you want, Beard? 2-1 or 2-2?
Well, where when did you write the other when did he said 2-2?
Well, that was the 2-1 is 2 days ago.
Oh, well, we'll have to corroborate certainly. But there we go. All right, getting everything sorted for the light presser. And Paul Sprague says Spuds 1, Tune 3. How are the lads? That's my score as well. I think that's a fair enough score. We shall see.
Oh, in fact, he's going 2-1 Spurs. Yeah, dear me. Niall Powell 2-0.
Well, they are due a big win to be fair, but I mean,
to Newcastle.
it'll be interesting to see what the record is away at the Tottenham Stadium. To be honest, I don't even have a feel for it. Usually have a feel of how things have gone, but I don't really remember much.
Beer Bacon 3-1. To the Tune. So that only leaves El Cesar, Steve McCullough, and George Eaton.
All right.
There we go. No, I'm feeling as confident tomorrow as I was yesterday or the day before, whenever it was. Can't see any bumps in the road at all, especially with the injuries and suspensions that Tottenham have got. Okay, we are without Shea, so that's obviously going to be a test for Kelly, I think. However, I think we're proving right now just what a good team we are. And long may it continue. And the Tottenham fans are popping their pantsers. You know, that even Henry on Henry Talks Football is saying he's predicting 3-1 Newcastle. So
Well, look, man, I'm just I'm not so much of a believer of no, I'm not much of a believer of non-fans saying good things about Newcastle because they get some clicks and they get some views. Newcastle fans are desperate for attention, and so when they say stuff like that in their thumbnails and their titles, which is fair game, it draws a lot of people in. So I'm not really sure that I believe a lot of these other fans when they say stuff like that when they make videos about Newcastle. I think it's more a PR thing, rather said. But you know, whatever their motivation is, they certainly are right. That Newcastle is a better team than Tottenham at this point, and obviously performing better this month. Um, and
Performed a lot better this week.
based on that, we should win. But it is away, and in so when you're trying to look at things objectively, they are playing over there.
Well,
However, it's
let's
hard to keep it objective at times because we
let's
are
just
playing
look
better.
at things objectively. We've won our last 3 away games in the league.
Exactly. That's why I say we should win there. But that doesn't mean that we're going to predict the win every single game of the season, right? So we
Well,
gotta.
I will be.
Well, no, I know you will. That makes the difference between you and I.
Yeah,
That's why people
I
take me
may
serious.
predict a draw against Liverpool, and I'll certainly predict a draw against Arsenal in the Cup, which is the next game, of course. Tune in for that one.
Yeah, I was going Tuesday. Another game away. Probably won't be doing the watch along for that one. You guys will more than likely, and I'll be at work, but I'll be there for the match reaction. Um, hopefully I get to join. I always say that to be safe, but yeah,
Better safe than sorry.
because people are gonna be expecting the American mag, man. When they see your face, they're gonna be like, oh man, yeah, dear me.
Quick vote in the chat. Who is the most handsome?
Come
Mirror,
on,
mirror,
man.
mirror, mirror in the chat. Who is the most handsome? Me or this fat twat?
Look, man, you can never be this good looking, man. Not even if you were born twice over. Um, kind of phrases depends on the state of the squad when that far down the line. Yeah, I like to look at the table nowadays. So let me take a look at it again.
You never get sick of looking at it. I'm sure I'm not alone. And when the two are doing well, you just keep on going back to it and having another look. And, what if, what if, what if, what if? It's what being a fan is all about.
Interesting. Chelsea. I didn't remember. I thought Chelsea was second. They lost, but I didn't think they were going to drop to fourth. Within very much within reach.
Yeah.
And today, who does Chelsea play?
Chelsea's next game is Crystal Palace, I think.
Mm, well, I don't know
Because
that
I've
they're
looked
gonna.
at the fixture list about 100 times as well, so I just about know that off by heart for the next 3 or 4 games.
I'm not sure how they go about that one. I'm not sure they're gonna lose that one. To be fair,
I
so
know, I'm expecting them to win that one.
yeah. Well, we need to keep winning until they buckle. We need to keep winning until they, you know, until they fall down. If they win against Crystal Palace, we got to win against Tottenham. And we just keep doing and keep doing and keep doing until we pass these people. Forest still very much going solid. Don't know what their next run of schedule is, but they seem to be invincible, unfortunately. And the
And
Arsenal back at second.
they've won their
Incredible.
last. Forest have won their last 5.
And to be fair, I mean, as much as I think Liverpool will win the Premier League, it's not set in stone either. Their lead went down significantly.
Yeah, but they've got a
But
game in hand.
they do, yeah, they do. And that's against who?
Everton.
Well, that's the derby.
Yeah.
Although Everton are poor, still a derby nonetheless.
And there's an interesting thing came out yesterday, by the way, with regards to Everton's new stadium. The naming rights apparently 150 mil. 10 years at 15 million a year, which is nowhere near what we are predicting. It's not a done deal, but they reckon it's Qatar Airways who are favourites for it.
Mm.
And the thing is, Everton think they can get more per season, but the sponsors wouldn't be as prestigious as Qatar Airways, in their opinion, and also the more money is on a much shorter deal, and they don't know whether they want to go through the heartache of having to rename the stadium every couple of years, depending on the sponsor, which is a valid point, I think. At least when you've got the Emirates and Etihad, we're all that they are what they're called now. So you don't mind calling them that. You'll know yourself from all the American sports stadium, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and all that. That's what they become known as. So it's like saying, are you going to change the name of St James's Park every year? Even though it'll always be St James's Park to us. If you want to build up a brand the way we want to build up Newcastle United, the stadium is a very important part of that. I don't think we'll have that problem, by the way, because we've got the sponsors waiting queued up. But I'm just saying.
Yep, makes sense. We got Gary in there. Hold on. Let me see. Where's Gary at? Oh, there we go.
There he is. Happy New Year,
everybody. I hope you're having a better start than I am.
What is that?
Sorry?
Is it? Are you...
Well, could you not remember calling me on New Year's Day in your torrid state?
No, I can't, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I was on the way up to see my better half, who's been in hospital since New Year's Eve.
Oh dear me, no, I can't. And
you were absolutely out of your tree. And it was like, I was in the car. Yeah. Anyway, Eddie's coming out, so I'm just going to shut up.
There we go. Listen. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, there we go.
Is that right? No. That's just depressed me. It's an intense period.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to our press conference ahead of the trip to Tottenham. Just please keep your phones away from the microphones and don't forget to turn them on. Start with Razor. Thank you.
Good morning, Eddie. Some recognition for you and a couple of your players yesterday in the shortlists for the Premier League Monthly Awards. Obviously nothing finalised or announced yet, but it must be nice and a sign that things are going well.
Yeah, always good to be in the mix for these things because it means you've had a good month. So delighted with that. I think it has been was a good December for us. Now we need to try and make sure it's a good January as well.
There's obviously a lot of attention on everything Alexander Isak does, but for a player like Jacob Murphy, who's come into the team recently and delivered so much for you, how pleased are you for him that he has received that nomination for Player of the Month?
Yeah, I think Jacob's done really well. I think goals and assists is what every attacking player needs in their game. I think he's had a really strong group of games. The goals he scored, I think, have been really good finishes. He's capable of that. But he's always been a really creative outlet for us, and his crossing ability is second to none. So, yeah, really pleased for him.
Looking ahead to Tottenham this weekend, you do have an issue at right-sided centre-back with Fabian Schär suspended, Jamal Lascelles still recovering from injury. What about Sven Botman and the possibility of him coming back to the squad for this weekend?
Yeah, I always said with Sven, I think he'll be in and around the Christmas games. I think he's worked incredibly hard to get himself in a good condition. He's had, I think, 3 games, a lot of internal training as well, some match stimulus. So he's certainly in and around my thoughts. I'll have to make a decision on who I think best fits that position. But yeah, great to have Sven in and around and available again.
Would it be a lot to put a player back into such a big game or big couple of games with Arsenal on Tuesday as well after a lengthy period out with that type of serious injury? No, because I think you go through a process with the type of injury that Sven's had. He's done an incredible amount of work. It's not like he's
not had the training time with us. We've taken longer than maybe normally we would have done, through respect for the injury that he had, to try and make sure that he had the best chance of staying fit, and when he comes back, hitting the ground running, which is absolutely vital. So I've got a decision to make in terms of team selection, but if Sven's in the squad, it's because he's fit and available.
Another option is Lloyd Kelly, who hasn't had much football this season. How tough a time has it been for him? Because he was in the team at the beginning of the season, sometimes at left back, sometimes at centre back, but more recently his opportunities have been pretty limited.
Yeah, they have, but I think that's been down to the form of the lads that have played. I think Lloyd is a versatile player. He can play, as you say, a number of positions. I think, the form of Dan and Fabian at the heart of the defence has been really strong, especially of late. I think we've looked good defensively. So I think that's always a position that it's difficult for me to rotate too much. I prefer to keep a settled back four and not to chop and change. I think that your stability, your team is based on relationships. But Lloyd's training hard, he's training very well, and he's waiting for his chance.
Finally, what sort of match are you expecting from Spurs?
A difficult game. I think whenever you go to Tottenham, it's always a tough match. I think they have a very good creative team. I think their goal scoring record's very strong. They've got a very good way of playing, which is tough to play against. No, we expect a really difficult game. I don't think you're under any illusions when you're playing the games that we are, Manchester United, Tottenham, Arsenal. That this is a challenging period, but one that we started in great form, and now we're looking to carry that on.
Thanks, Reza. Keith?
Given the way your side are playing right now, and the reasons you just said to Razor there, the way Spurs play, they open up very expansive. Is this actually quite a good game for your side right now, given the attacking form that your side are in, and you probably expect that sort of match against Spurs?
I don't know whether it'll be a good game for us or not until afterwards. I think it will be an exciting game. I think they always are against Tottenham. I think we've historically had some great matches against them. Both teams have had their moments in those games. One thing I think is sure, they're not going to change their attacking approach, and it's been very effective for them. In front of goal, they look at their numbers, very, very good. So I think for us, as always, when you go away from home, there's the challenge to nullify what they do and then impose ourselves onto them. And as you say, our attacking players are also in good form. We look like we've had a really good feel about the team. Mentally, I think we're in a good place. So I think we need to roll into the game and try and continue our good form.
It feels as though you've maybe gone up a notch in the last two wins against Aston Villa and Manchester United. Have you hit your straps yet, or do you feel there's still more improvement to come from your team?
I'd always say there's room for more. You have to believe that, and I do genuinely believe it anyway. I think there's more to come. I think we're playing, of course, a lot better. I think the cohesion in the team has been really strong. Players are playing with confidence and freedom and expressing themselves in a great way. But as the challenges go up, we're going to need to deliver more. And these next games that we have coming up will challenge us more, and we're going to have to respond in a positive way.
You spoke about Lloyd Kelly a moment ago. Would you be comfortable bringing in another central defender, a left-sided central defender, to play alongside Dan? Like it's weird in football. You don't often see two left-sided central defenders as partners. I don't know why you see it with right-sided quite often, but not as left. Is that something you'd be comfortable to do if he is the one that you opt for? Yeah,
you're absolutely right, and it's a bizarre way that falls. You very rarely, you have seen it, but you very rarely see two left-footers, but two right-footers are actually quite standard and normal. So, as I said earlier, I'm going to have to make the right call, what I believe is the right call for this game. Of course, there's going to be a change because Fabian, who's been really consistent for us, will be missing. But whoever I pick will have their unique skill set added to the team, and we have to try and look at it as a positive.
And a first game watching on for the New England manager, Thomas Tuchel, tomorrow. It's been widely reported, I guess, an early opportunity for your players. A few of them have been included in recent squads to stake a claim and impress.
Yeah, I'm sure the players will be aware of that, but I think for me it's irrelevant. It's us against Tottenham, and we've got to make sure that we turn up in the same place really that we were against Manchester United, and on the front foot, and try and deliver a good performance.
Thanks, Keith. Andy?
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Get the important question out of the way first. Excellent festive period for Newcastle, but did Jason Tindall gift you a Wham hoodie over Christmas or not?
No, he didn't.
No.
No, absolutely not. No, he's quite selfish like that with his clothes. He has his unique fashion sense, and it's a very strong one, but he doesn't share.
Sorry to hear it. We'll move on to the football anyway. You talk about the psychological impact on Monday night of that game and that win against Manchester United. What has been the psychological impact, and have you seen that this week on the training pitch?
I think you always see off the back of a win, you see just a slightly different mood, a bounce in the lad's step, laughter, humour. And that's great, and that's what we're obviously here for. But then you need the focus on the next game, and I've also seen that, and the focus has to come very quickly because you can't live off what you've done in this group of games, and we need to almost forget that, take the confidence, but forget the results, and make sure that we're going into this game with a clear vision of what we need to do, because this will be a tough test.
I saw a stat the other day that Newcastle had scored more in December than they had between August and December. So just on the front three and the attacking form of Newcastle, what has clicked for you?
I don't think necessarily, as I said many times to that question, I don't think there's one thing. I think it's a combination of things. Certainly those players I think now are going into the games just in a different frame of mind, which only comes from winning and feeling good. But I do think the combination of things, to score goals, you need the team to perform. You need the defenders to use the ball well. You need the defenders to attack well. You need to have a confidence in each other, because you need to also, from our perspective, get more. Well, we needed to get more bodies in the box. We needed to play with a little bit more freedom, I felt. So a huge knock-on effect, and then you're going into the next game in a different place mentally, and but as quickly as it can come, as quickly as it can go. So we need to not lose sight of that and continue to do the basics well.
Of course, heading into the January transfer window, 3 years ago, there were plenty of signings, of course, mate. It was a busy old January, the likes of Bruno, Kieran. Is Dan Burn up there with one of your most important signings that you've made, bearing in mind his recent form, bearing in mind his versatility over the course of 3 years?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think Dan's been incredible. I think I've said before, I think he's been even better than I thought he would be. And I mean that as an absolute compliment, because we knew he was a talented player. We knew he would be a difference maker for us, just with his stature and his size and everything that he brings in that respect. But then when you add the leadership skills that he's brought to the group, the consistency, not just of performance but of selection, he's been a tower of strength in the dressing room. He's always been a positive force. He's been absolutely fundamentally important in everything that we've done, and hopefully will continue to be.
Just finally talk about the defence. How else is Newcastle looking team news-wise ahead of Tottenham tomorrow?
I think we're okay. I don't see any major concerns from our last game. I'm just trying to think if I'm missing something, but no, I think we're okay.
Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, Andy. Nisha?
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
The results that you've had over the festive period, the manner in which the team have played, is this the best Newcastle United under you so far?
That's a tough question. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'd like to think it's getting close to being near our best. I think we've produced some very good performances previously, some games that everything's really clicked in that respect, and we've looked a good team attacking wise. But of course, I think the most pleasing thing about our recent run, together with the goals, has been how good we've been defensively, how well we've protected our goal. I think we've played with a lot of control in that respect, so I've been delighted. But yeah, the challenge is always to keep it going, and that's very difficult.
A lot of talk, rightly so, about Alexander Isak, and I think at the start of the season I asked, could he win the Golden Boot? He's in the mix, but how good could he be?
It's quite a consistent question I get on Alex, and I think he could be anything that he wants to be. I mean, he's got a little bit of everything in his game, which makes him so difficult to play against. I don't think there's one dimension of his game that he can't do to a very good level. I think his challenge is teams will look and try and find a way to stop him continually. That'll be a big focus, I'm sure, for the opposition's preparation, and his challenge is to continue to find a way to hurt the opposition and to evolve his game and continue to improve.
We've spoken about Miguel Almiron's future quite a bit in here. I think Charlotte FC in America have gone on record to say they want him. Can you just give us a bit of an update on his future?
Well, his future is very much here at the moment. I think Miggy has trained brilliantly this season. He's ready to play, and he's an important player. We were not blessed with a huge number of wide players, so anyone that we have here is vitally important. And Miggy's always proved for us how effective he is when he does play. So I'd say the same for any player until the day that they leave. Their future's here, and he needs to focus on the next game.
Similarly, we've talked about Martin Dubravka and his future, and he is playing in goal at the moment, so you've said you don't want to lose him. Can we just have a bit of an update on Nick Pope's injury?
Nick is starting goalkeeping work, so he's back on the grass, diving, etc. He's still not fully training with the group, so I think he's still got a little bit of time to go, but I think his knee's in a good place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nisha. Damien, we'll go Lee Ryder and then Ian Mercer.
Hi, Eddie.
Hi.
Can you just go back to Sven? I think when his injury first emerged, you told us that he had the option of trying to manage it and play through it or have surgery, and he opted for the former, and it didn't work out for him. But what impact has that had psychologically, and have you had to talk to him about that?
No, I think there was a period where, of course, he was disappointed because he was desperate to stay fit. He had a lot to be fit for. He had the Euros coming up. It was a massive part of our season. So I think he was making every effort he could to stay fit and available for us in our pursuit of what we wanted to achieve that season. So it was a massive blow to lose him, and I know how disappointed he was. But I think once the operation was agreed by all parties, I think he then quickly got his head around that. A long period of work. Sven's a very dedicated professional. He's very focused on his career. He wants to do well. So he's gone through a huge amount of work to get himself in the position that he is now, and he looks good. As I said, he's been training for a period of time. Yes, he hasn't had the sort of the match day experience with the team yet, but he's done everything else but that, and I think he's physically in a very good place.
Just on a different topic, when you hear pundits saying Arsenal should go and offer Newcastle whatever they want for Alexander Isak, or Manchester City should go out and sign Bruno Guimaraes, do you find that disrespectful?
I think it comes with the territory. Now, to be honest, I think maybe in my very early days that would have maybe left more of I'd have had more of an impression on those comments. But I think when you're in the position that I'm in now, you sort of ignore it and it's irrelevant. There'll be so much talk and noise and rumour, and you can't control it all, and you can't even begin to try. So you just have to ignore it and just focus on the facts, I think.
Thank you. Lee?
Yeah, just to follow up on that, the fan base was actually irked quite a lot by that yesterday, because you had Paul Merson seemed to have this notion that Arsenal can come and just pick and choose who they want. I mean, what's your sort of response to that notion?
Well, yeah, first I'm hearing of it, Lee, so I'd probably need to see the comments. But our players are loved by us, wanted by us, and we've got massive games to come, and we need them to perform. So their focus can only be on what they're delivering in the here and now. We can only control what we can control. But I don't see that being an issue for us, especially in this window. We've got so many big games to come. We're very focused, and the players are very focused on having a great season, and that's all that concerns us at the moment.
You've already mentioned that other Premier League teams aren't going to do Newcastle a favour, so I guess the same service gets applied back to anybody.
We're certainly not looking to help anybody out, that's for sure. It's a hard enough league as it is to be consistently successful, but we certainly need our best players here.
Just on the Spurs game, recently Spurs manager saying, talking about entertainment and winning games 4-3. I mean, what's your idea of entertainment? Do you want to be hanging on in games and providing an entertaining match, or would you rather just get the job done?
No, I think I've always said I think we have a duty to try and entertain, but yeah, clarifying that is maybe not as simple. I want the supporters to come and genuinely look forward to seeing the team play. Genuinely be excited about what could happen, and I think we've got some great players in the team that I think bring that quality, because you sort of, what's going to happen next? Are they capable of something truly inspiring? So I want that feeling for the supporters to watch the team. Of course, our job is to try and produce a winning team while doing that, and that's always the challenge. But yeah, I think it's important to me that everyone enjoys watching us play.
Can I just check one thing as well, very quickly? In terms of the style of player you might be looking to bring in, one of the players linked was Jack Grealish in the last 48 hours. Obviously, you're not going to mention him, but is it that type of player that you could bring in? Have you got the capacity to do that?
Financially?
Yeah.
I don't believe currently we have, but I think we're not really looking at the moment, or concentrating at the moment, on incomings. We're focusing on the massive games we have ahead of us. That's the only thing that I'm concentrating on.
Thanks, Lee. We'll to Ian, then Craig and Chris.
Good morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Eddie, earlier you talking about the squad. There's a good feel to the place now, and you said we'll roll into the Spurs game looking to maintain your form. That's not the language a manager who wasn't supremely confident of his players right now would use.
Well, I think that's psychologically the best way for us to prepare the game, in my opinion. I think that doesn't mean we won't do our preparation. We'll do our preparation on Tottenham as thoroughly as we would for any other opponent. We'll go into the game, I think, fully prepared, as we always do. Our preparation doesn't change, but I think psychologically for the players, when you're in a good moment, you don't want to destabilise that. You just want them to roll into the next game to some extent in the same place and try and deliver a great performance.
On the goalkeeping front, Eddie, at Liverpool, when Alisson was out and Kelleher was playing very, very well, but Tony Slot made it clear that the number one was still Alisson. Is your number one still clear-cut?
I don't think I have to go into that conversation today. I think Martin has been excellent for us. In every respect of his game, I think he's looked supremely confident, which is never easy for someone who hasn't played for such a long period of time. His distribution of the ball's been high level. I think he's made important saves when we've needed him to. He's definitely contributed to our team's played. But Nick is a first-class goalkeeper with his unique skill set. And it's great to have two high-level goalkeepers at the same club.
And is the age a factor for you with goalkeepers in the same way it might be for your players?
In what sense?
Well, Martin Dubravka, they're both in their 30s, and Dubravka's 36.
Yeah, but what do you mean?
A lot of managers for outfield players, they'd be, once a player passes 30 or maybe 32, they'd be looking to replace them. But it's probably less obvious with keepers.
Yeah, I think it is. I think with the goalkeeper, I think you view them differently with age. Of course, their physical demand is much less. But of course, they still need their agility and their ability to make big saves. And that's probably their most important attribute. I think both our goalkeepers still have that.
Thanks, Ian. Craig?
Morning, Eddie. A lot has been made of the guys going forward and the goals which have been scored, but amidst all of that, you've kept 4 clean sheets on the bounce now. At the back, can you take us inside from a coach's perspective? What makes the difference there? Because if you rewind a year, when you went down to Liverpool, you conceded a Premier League record high number of shots on goal. Now you're not conceding any shots on goal. And is the key to defending almost not having to defend if that team is functioning? Just from a coach's perspective, can you take us inside that? Thanks
for bringing that stat up, Craig. That's a nice reminder of that night. I think the work and the processes we go through with our defensive structure don't really change that much. Of course, the delivery of that sometimes can be very different. You know, what you see on a weekend. I think a lot of that depends on your opponent and their qualities. I think in the last 4 games, we've defended our goal really well. I don't think we've conceded too many shots, as you say, or too many chances against, but that doesn't have any guarantee for the next game. And every game is so different. So I think the challenge for us is the mindset and the concentration we have to actually defend our goal and the willingness to defend our goal. Against Brentford, we didn't have it. I was really disappointed with our defensive output that day. It was not what I wanted to see from the team, but it's been a much better response. You saw against Manchester United, the chances they did have, we were throwing our bodies in the way and looked like we had a great desire to defend. And I think they're the most important qualities rather than necessarily the tactical viewpoint.
Like I said, right now you are marrying the two, going forward and going back over. When you were at Bournemouth, there was this idea that you were an attacking coach and the team didn't defend as well. And please take this question in the spirit it's meant, but were you a bad defensive coach, or was that a myth?
Oh, I won't take that in any way other than the way you meant it, Craig. No, I think you always evolve as a coach. I don't think it's certainly I'm not the same. I don't have the same view on the game that I did, say, 5-6 years ago. But I think if I did, there'd be an issue, because I think you're always changing your focus, changing the things that you think are the most relevant to your team. And of course, that depends on who you're managing and who you're coaching. But there's always, believe it or not, we've always had a big focus on the defensive side of the game. And I think you have to, because I think it'd be negligent not to. But the delivery of that is all down to the players. Let's not kid ourselves. If you don't have good defenders and you don't have a good midfield structure to protect your defence, you're going to concede goals. If your goalkeeper's not playing well, you're going to concede goals. So the players have had a good response in the last 4 games, but our challenge is to keep that going.
Thank you. Go on to Chris, Jordan, and then Aaron.
Morning, Eddie. You mentioned Martin's distribution. I mean, with his feet, he seems to have almost become like an additional outfield player. Can you just talk about that as a sort of dimension and what that sort of added to the team as well in your general play?
Yeah, Martin's always been very good with his feet. I think that's one of his biggest strengths, but I think the modern day goalkeeper now live in that world where they're viewed, their distribution's viewed with equal importance as their ability to keep the ball at the net. And I think Martin's played his part in that respect really well in terms of helping us have control, especially when you go to Old Trafford. That's a big part of the game that we tried to focus on, and I thought he did give us that ability to play and to build our attacks and to make it difficult for them to get to our centre-backs from the pressing viewpoint. So, Tottenham are a very good pressing team, a very good team off the ball, so that's going to be a different dimension for us again coming into this game.
And just on the midfield three, Jamie Carragher said it compares to any midfield in the Premier League, and I know that there was a lot of excitement when that three were first put together, and maybe it didn't quite fully gel in the way that it is now. Can you just talk about the blend between the three of them and why you think they are complementing each other so nicely at the moment?
Yeah, I do think they've got different strengths, which I think is really important. I don't think you want a carbon copy of the same 3 players. I don't think that's the way to get the right balance within that area of the team. I think they're all very good physically, which is hugely important in the midfield battle these days, their ability to run big distances. All 3 of them actually is very good. Sandro brings a bit more speed to the midfield, which I think, again, is a really key dynamic. And of course, Joey's got his physical skills, which you need both in open play and set plays. So I think it's a good mix, and of course Bruno's got his obvious qualities. So, but I'd say the same. Looking at Joe Willock's got the speed viewpoint. Sean Longstaff's got the intelligence, and brings a different dynamic when he plays. So I think, and of course Louis Miley brings his qualities. I think within the 6 midfielders we've got, I think we've got very different players, but they all bring something unique to the team.
Thanks, Chris. Jordan.
Hi, you're just going back to Martin, and I appreciate this is quite hypothetical, but if Nick was to return in January, could Martin leave? Because there's a lot of noise from Saudi Arabia, there's talk of terms agreed, deal agreed with Newcastle. Could he leave? What is the situation with him? Has he almost played himself in a position where you can't let him go?
Yeah, I think the situation with Martin is we would not want him to leave. But of course you have to respect and understand the players' wishes as well in this. It's not as clear cut as everyone would necessarily have you think. Martin is out of contract as well in the summer, so that's a different dynamic to add into the mix. But it's all hypothetical. Martin is and has been fully committed. I think he's been outstanding. He's been a brilliant professional to work with. Got a lot of respect for him, and I think he's done really well when you consider that he didn't have a lot of football when coming into the team. So, fair play to him and how he's handled that situation.
And just going back to Keith's question earlier about the 2 left-footed centre halves, it almost feels like an unwritten rule. We had Lee, but given you've got three left-footed centre-halves and Sven, Dan, who's Lloyd as well, sorry. Could you play 3 left-footed centre-halves going forward?
3.
Sorry, 2.
Same.
Mixing me words up.
Well, he can play 3. That'll be a new one. Craig might have more to say about that. I think with our 2 right side centre halves being out, Fabian suspension and Emil injured, it's going to be difficult to find a right sided solution, I think.
Okay, Aaron and then Kieran.
Morning, Eddie. Just
Morning.
another one on Dubravka. You've spoken there about his distribution and how good it is. In the modern game and in your teams, how important is that for goalkeepers to be able to sort of zip it about at the back like that?
Yeah, I'd say it's an important aspect of the game, but it's not the only criteria for a goalkeeper. You know, goalkeepers have to be multi-talented these days. I think when I was first coming into the game myself as a professional, the back pass rule had sort of just come in, and it totally revolutionised the role of a goalkeeper really in their skill set. But I think we have very good goalkeepers that can do a little bit of everything. Certainly, that's been a feature of Martin's game in the last few games.
And just on injuries, Kieran Trippier came off the other night. Looked like he was holding his hamstring. Is there any update on that? Yeah,
I think Kieran's okay. I think it's a bit of fatigue in the last 2 games. I don't think there's any muscle problem there.
Thanks, Aaron. Dominic?
You mentioned before with Martin Dubravka, but you've got several players out of contract in the summer. Obviously, the rules, they're free to agree deals with clubs, foreign clubs this month. Does that make the need to tie players down to new contracts particularly pressing at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think the ones that we would begin negotiations with, of course, we would want to get a quick solution with them. But it's all a delicate balance, as we've said many times, with the financial conditions that we're working towards. So let's see what happens with those.
It's a cliched term, but is the return of Sven Botman the closest thing you can expect to a new signing this month?
Yeah, it is a cliche, but I think it's a good one. I think it was the same with Sandro when he came back from his ban, where although he'd been training with us and he'd been with us for a season, it was like a new signing. And it actually gave the lads a big lift to have Sandy back available for selection. And Sven will be exactly the same. He's been a massive player for us, and a player that the lads all like. They like to play with. They've got total trust in him. So when he comes back into the group, it does give everyone a great feeling. So yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it.
Thanks, Tom. Gary? Try the one next to you.
That's better. Massive week coming up. Eddie obviously fighting on 3 fronts. Likely a top 4 rival tomorrow. The 2 clubs. Is this the biggest week of the season so far for you?
Well, I think it is the biggest week of the season because it's the one in front of us. But it's not lost on us the importance of the next group of games, and we're looking forward to it.
Cool. And just found one from me. Obviously, it's a new year. Can 2025 be the one where Newcastle are in a position to deliver that long-awaited silverware to the supporters?
Well, we hope so. We don't shy away from the fact that that's our goal. That's what we want to do. That's what everyone connected with the club is desperate for. I know the players have got that in their sights, and that's what they're desperate for as well. So, but we know that you can't really focus on the end point of that. You have to focus on trying to get there. So for us, it's the final, and the 2 games against Arsenal will take on all the importance after the Tottenham game. But until then, it's all focused on the Premier League and trying to get another win.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Eddie Howe's press conference. Man, oh man, my oh my. I thought it was a really good one. Interesting questions, interesting answers. The main one that I like, by the way, hit the like button. We got 450 people watching at the moment, so we're going to now react to Eddie Howe's presser and what he had to say with the mighty win in Gary. So please do that. Hit the like button, support the channel, subscribe if you're new, become a member if you can, super chat if you can. You can help the channel grow. And don't forget, tomorrow we'll have the live match commentary of Newcastle versus Tottenham at the Tottenham Stadium. 1 hour before kickoff. So that's what we're sort of previewing at the moment. But the question that got me, that I just cannot understand, the question is this how is it disrespectful to want basically our players or other teams to want our players? I don't know what Paul Merson said verbatim, but if he did say Arsenal can sign anybody they want to, so they should just go to Newcastle and get Isak, then that's disrespectful. I highly doubt that that's what was said
Pretty
on
much what he said, yeah.
on national television. So it would be interesting to send us a link so we can take a look at exactly what Paul Merson did say, and that's what Eddie also was a bit apprehensive about responding to that because he didn't see what was exactly being said. However, Alexander Reese, I keep telling fans that you're gonna save your liver, save your mental state by just not worrying about other clubs. And the following question is: do we want Jack Grealish? Is it not disrespectful to Man City for us to want to take one of their champions, one of the important players that they had in their last run in their treble? How disrespectful of Newcastle would that be to insinuate the fact that we could go out there and hijack Jack Grealish? No, because it's football, and
No,
he said it.
Yeah, but
Eddie Howe said it. Hold on, let me finish my point though. Eddie Howe said it. It's a dog-eat-dog world. It's the nature of the beast. People want your players when you play good. When you don't play good, that's actually a good thing. When you don't play good, nobody wants your players. So I think that's what we want.
That wasn't the question.
Yeah, that was that. What wasn't the question? It's disrespectful.
The question was, so the journalist mentioned Jack Grealish, and the question was, would Newcastle have the money to go and get that sort of player?
No. What are you talking about?
And the answer to it was, I don't believe currently we have the financial capability.
But that's not the question I'm talking about. The question that was asked to Eddie Howe was: is it disrespectful that other pundits are say this stuff about our players, that they can just come and get them? That was that question. Then we're going to talk about that as well.
That was a separate question.
Yeah, exactly. So that wasn't talking about that. Now you can, if you want to, we can go into what he said about incomings. He said no, not concentrating on incomings. They got to concentrate on the games ahead. Some people, like you, will say he's just saying that because he wants to, hide something or poker face or whatever. But we got to react to what he said, and what he said is that and I find it hard to believe that a manager of this caliber would not concentrate on incomings as well, since it is open window. The window is open. You can buy. I'm assuming, Mighty, when you don't believe what he said, I'm assuming that you think he knows what's happening out there. He just doesn't want to say it.
I'm pretty sure he knows what's happening over there.
So what about what he said though, that he's not concentrating on incomings?
Well, that's it, and I think that's right as well. The two things are not exclusionary. What he's saying is his focus is on the games ahead with the squad he's currently got.
Right.
That doesn't mean he's not concentrating on who's available and what could come in, but he's certainly not going to comment on that, is he? He's not going to give anybody an inkling of what we're looking at.
All right. Well, Gary, what do you think?
Well, like I say, I'm going to apologise on some things, because having spent majority of my New Year at the bedside of my partner, I've been out of sync, and I've tried to catch up when I've got chance. And obviously, I have looked at Paul Merson's comments, and there's two elements to what we're saying and everything else. And I get people will always, especially Newcastle fans, but don't forget, pundits out there still see Newcastle as a small club, away from the elite six, if you like, or seven. And with Paul Merson's comments as, will Newcastle not accept 100 million? As in, if they go forward with 100 million, do you think Newcastle have the ability to say, it's too little? So I understand where he's coming from as a pundit, because again, we all heard what Darren Earle said about, excuse me, if the right money comes in for any player, it's going to go. Now, yes, there's £150 million put on him, but if it's the only sale, and I think this is what you've got to understand, is if it's the only sale that comes forward, does it more or less put a gun at Newcastle's head to go ahead and say, you know what, we'll take the money and move forward? So I understand what he's saying regarding that, because we are in not a no-win situation, but we are more in a one-way street than lots of clubs around us because of the PSR ruling and everything else. So as a narrative, it's like I say, it's tongue-in-cheek. Yes, he's an Arsenal fan, ex-Arsenal player, and I think that's what I'm saying. As a fan myself, it hurts a little bit to still think that people out there still think we are the also-rans. They need to look at what Newcastle have done since Eddie Howe has taken over, and like I said, I put in while I was sat at the hospital, I was having a look through some of the stats, and there's only a few more teams in front since Eddie Howe's come on board since November 21st. 21. The amount of points that he has gained with this club, with this team, is second to none. Now, with a little bit more support,
It's fourth.
well, fourth to none, yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, can you imagine what it could have been like if he wasn't held back? And I think that's the way I look at it. So, yes, these type of comments do sting a little bit, but I think Eddie said exactly what he needed to. It's not about us going out there and looking at selling our best players. It's about keeping the unit together and keep that momentum going forward. And I'm just going to mention the Jack Grealish thing there. All these, and again, since I've not really been involved since the new year with the channel, but you still see the amount of names that we are linked to. Now, that doesn't mean that, Jack Grealish is an also-ran in my eyes. I think he's a great player, but I don't think he's going to make Newcastle any better than what we have actually got at the minute. He works the system the likes of Man City do, and again, it's because he slows play down. He can beat a player very skillfully, and he allows Man City players to move into the line of fire to support the cause. Now, we don't play that type of football. So I look at like for like, and would Jack Grealish get into our side? I don't think he would. He may get in front of Harvey Barnes, but I don't think he gets in front of Gordon because he plays a different style of football. So I understand where people are coming from because, like I say, we're going to be linked with umpteen different players, and we're going to be linked with players that aren't getting valuable game time because it'll be their agents, I would imagine, putting their names out in the mix to say, listen, for the right money, if people come forward, and that's the other thing. I mean, his wages is extortionate, 300 and some odd thousand a week. I mean, that you could get we could get two players for that type of wage, Bill. So
Yeah.
for me, I don't look at it and say, he was wrong for saying anything. And I'm going back to Paul Merson, and I look at Jack Grealish as just being a flippant comment, because at the end of the day, we know our financial constraints, and if we even contemplating going in for Jack Grealish, then there has to be a little bit of give and take regarding his wages, and I don't think that Jack Grealish would want to drop much money.
I think the Jack Grealish thing, it was actually a question that was asked in the presser. My response to DX says that we can't live in the past, Chris. We did that when we signed the likes of Mark Viduka and Alan Smith. Grealish is beyond his prime. He's talking to me as if I said we need to sign Grealish, which I didn't. So DX, we need to get some of the earwax out because I didn't say that. And my use of Jack Grealish was, based on the Paul Merson question. Because we get to be offended about people wanting Isak, but other teams can't get offended when we want their players. That's what I'm saying. That was my why I brought Grealish into that.
It's like hypocritical, isn't it?
It's
we can
hypocritical,
do everything we want, but
and
nobody can talk about ours.
And it's football, man. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
football. We're gonna want players. They're gonna want our players. It's all. That doesn't mean that we get to sell them. That doesn't mean that we need to bend our arm to give them favors, because we don't. Paul Merson, though, based on what you said, Gary, I still don't see what's wrong with it. He said
Newcastle actually said we should
Newcastle
break the bank to get him.
100, and it's not we, but Paul Merson is a Chelsea fan, not an Arsenal fan. But he played for Arsenal, so that's fine. He said, as if Arsenal, I don't know if Arsenal got that much money, but he said 150 pay 150 for Isak. And Newcastle might be desperate to sell him because of PSR. We complain about PSR ourselves. So what, we complain that we have that issue with PSR, that we can't sign players and we might have to sell our crown jewels. We complain that. You know what I mean? So he's saying that Newcastle might look to sell, because I don't think we need to sell nobody. You know what I mean? That's my opinion.
Well, I believe if somebody came in with 150 million for Isak, they would get him.
No, I don't think we need to sell him. I think we need to make it 200 million just to make a statement that we don't want to sell him. And I'm sure that 150 was because of that.
Does that.
Well, but if you got the likes of Arsenal, coming in for him, if they truly believe that's the player they need, then we're in deep trouble. But I don't. And Beard telling me, Chris, you're not here. So it's constant. Constant what, man? It's rumor. It's the rumor mill. That's what it is. This is football. It's a transfer window. We also got to stop. I understand there was an agenda to stop, to change the rule, to stop us from signing players. I get that. There was something there. However, we can't just look at everything, as if everybody's against us and poor us. No, man. Newcastle is not a small club. You know what I mean? Newcastle are back in the fight. Newcastle are actually being noticed. They fear Newcastle. Gary, you're invisible, by the way. There we go.
My camera. I don't know what's happening with my camera. Apologies for the copy.
Newcastle is not a small club. Newcastle can actually sit in front of anybody, negotiate, and not feel pressure, not have to sell anybody. So we need to lose that sense of inferiority to other people. You know what I mean? We our self-esteem is low as hell, man. We just get mad over anything. You know what I mean? And we have Alexander Isak.
Getting mad.
The best. Come on, Wayne. Stop turning a blind eye to what's happening, man. We have Alexander Isak now, in my opinion, really close. Really, really close. I don't want to say it, but really close to being the best center forward in the league.
Based on his last two performances, he is.
He is here, and he's not going anywhere. We got the best Italian midfielder in the world. We got one of the best Brazilian midfielders in the world, and Joe Linton as well. You know what I mean? They're not going anywhere. They're not going. We need to stop looking at selling, I don't think we are, but I'm saying, I don't think fans should entertain that. You say 150, you would sell Isak, not me. If they bring in 150, I'm gonna say 200 now. I'm gonna do the Crystal Palace to Newcastle, what they were doing, and we need to be looking for incomings. That's what worries me the most. The manager saying not concentrating on incomings. Matt Fletcher in the chat told me, why would Eddie Howe say who we're signing? But people are not listening. I didn't say give me names. I said I think it would put the fans at ease a little bit if you said, well, we're looking at our options. Nothing is guaranteed, but it's obviously the transfer window is open. But I also think that Eddie Howe might be really, truly believing that we might not be able to sign anybody, and that's what we need to be worrying about, in my opinion. That we might not be able to sign anybody, and that's what I said. People, don't get your hopes up, because it just might not happen. It just might not happen.
Are you suggesting for a second, excuse me, that the Mighty Win spreadsheet is wrong?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not suggesting that, but you are head of the finances of twat relations, and it just makes no sense, man.
Yeah. We shall see. Because
I do agree that we should be able to spend, because we wanted to buy Gay, we wanted Ilanga. Who else did we go for? We were monitoring Trafford for 20,000 years. I forgot the club, Burnley.
We still are.
And it's Burnley. We still are. If you telling me you're monitoring a player that you don't need, that means you must have money.
If you're telling me we're even contemplating paying 20 million for Trafford when we can get Kelleher for 35, I think that's a no-brainer for starters now. That's assuming Liverpool would sell us Kelleher, of course.
Well, Kelleher has told that he wants to leave. He wants to have first-team football. So I don't think there's going to be much choice of Liverpool.
And by the way, Slaughter's told them both that Alisson's number one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have to tell anybody. He is what he. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, he's the best, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. But then again, we would be spending on stuff we don't need at the moment. You know what I mean? We don't need it. I mean, or maybe we do. I don't know. I don't know. It depends how you look at things. You know.
It depends on Dubs, doesn't it?
But if the worry is we are not concentrating on incomings, we don't know if we're going to get anybody in. We don't know if if you again.
Well, I've said a million times, if we don't get anybody substantial in this window, and maybe even two in this window, that says to me that PIF are not backing Eddie Howe.
Well, look,
I do not believe the money isn't there.
And also talking about the one of the questions that was used again, talking about Jack Grealish, and please, some people just want to hear what they want to hear. Take away the Jack Grealish name. If they asked him if that would be a possibility, and the answer is what I'm going for. Eddie Howe saying that based on the money and where we're at, no, I wouldn't think so. He said, it wouldn't be a possibility. So meaning the money is still an issue. Once again, he's putting that out there. So I don't think Eddie is stupid for one bit, and I think it can be two things, but you can't lean towards one or the other. Really, I think it can be two things. Either he's having the poker face, or he truly believes that we don't have money. And maybe he's just telling out there, fans, don't get your hopes up. Maybe he's telling you, win, don't get your hopes up, because you keep putting your neck out there, and it ain't gonna happen, man. And I'm not being negative. I'm just trying to be realistic because, when fans get their hopes up, man, and it doesn't happen. Imagine what happened. I think it would be a travesty for another window, not to even add one player, substantial player. It'll be the third time in a row, man. It would be tough, man. It's.
I think that you've got to look at it from the individual as well. I think Dubs has done absolutely superb. He's put himself in the shop window, and he's not getting any younger. And as much as I hate to say it, when he was fired the question about is Pope the number one, and he quite said, I'm not going to answer that question. But it's like everything else. When you're a goalkeeper, knowing that you've got two really good goalkeepers, I'm not saying any of them. They both have faults to a degree, but you cannot disprove or say that this lad Dubs hasn't performed extremely well. Now, again, you go on to the question of what Craig Hope said, and it was a case of, is it the fact that what he was more or less saying was, is it the fact that Dubs has performed well, or is it the fact that the team in front of him have made the opposition create less? And I think it's a mixture of both. The one thing that we've seen with Dubs is his footwork, his passing regime has supported the team going forward. I don't think he's misplaced a pass, apart from obviously when he's clearing the ball and gone long. So on that aspect, he's done absolutely outstanding. And all he's done, if I'm honest, he's put himself highly in the shop window for any team now to come forward and say, you know what, you've still got the ability to perform at a decent level. Now, if he decides to go on to Saudi Arabia and make a bit of money before he retires, then we have to just hold our hands up and say, you know what, all the best. Because like Eddie said, it's up to the player now. There's a number of them coming in the same vein. We were talking about, there was originally there was 9 players. Now, 1 or 2 of them, I believe, has had extensions, or the club have issued the 1-year extension. But that's what happens in football. Players come and run the contract down. Look at Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's more or less said, I ain't signing another contract at Liverpool. Now, for me, and again, you can say he's a fool if he wants to move elsewhere. But if he wants to go and play European football at another club, then the club hasn't got a leg to stand on. Once players start running their contracts down, there's only one thing in their mind, and that's to leave. And I'm not saying Dubs intentionally did that, but if you also think that Dubs was also the lad who sat on the bench for the majority of seasons, you do get a little bit disgruntled, and it's like you are only used when you're needed, and then you're back in the waiting line for the next availability. Now, the one thing that I look at is the fact that we all know now that Pope has issues. He's starting to pick up injuries backwards and forwards. Now, I think the next thing for Eddie Howe to do is obviously have a good sit down with Dubs and ask the question, would he sign a further 12 months? And once that conversation is made, then, it's up to Dubs to say yes or no. And I think only when he's spoken to Dubs and he's realised where Dubravka is, we will move in then for another goalkeeper. I don't think at this present moment in time we can afford to go and do like what we did with the Sula and just go and throw £10 million at a player that's not going to be involved going forward. I think whoever comes into this team now has to be or has to be looked at as somebody that can support the 11.
I think that's the thing. That's the main decision now that the team needs to make. Well, maybe this window right now, or at the end of the season. Yeah, definitely at the end of the season is whether Pope is going to be the number one going forward. Trying to persuade Dubravka or getting a new goalkeeper that's not Trafford, because Trafford is not ready to be number one. Let's be fair. Or Kelleher would be more established, I guess you can say, in the Premier League, certainly. But he has to make a decision because is Pope the one? Are they going to? Is he going to be the one? Because everybody has a fear of him getting hurt, and when he does get hurt, it's not really. Dubravka comes in, for example, and in my opinion, he's just done as good or even better in defense. Giving the team an outlet, the defense at least. But then again, it becomes that wasn't the problem. It's like when you go to the store, man, and you got a list, and then you just get everything else but the list. You know what I mean? That wasn't the problem at last summer window. We didn't think about that. The goalkeeper, and we criticized when we signed 20 goalkeepers in one window, and then now that's an added problem to this. And we still need a right wing. And I heard a rugby analyst in the chat say, "Why do we need a right wing? Why would you be gutted telling somebody else? Why would you be gutted not to get a right wing?" And now we're covering. We're letting the tree cover the forest now, Win, because we're now, you know what I mean. And then listen, I do appreciate Murphy, but are we trying to move forward or not? 3 windows now we're behind.
Yeah,
I think it's competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's been nominated
I think he needs more than that. I think he needs. Yeah, okay, man. I think he needs more than competition. I think he needs something else.
I agree.
And that's nothing.
But all I'd say is be careful what you wish for.
What's the be careful what you wish for nonsense, man? Get a better player. What is?
Well, yeah, and like for example, right now, give me Bueno, give me Bowen, not a problem. Well, not Bowen now because he's injured, but give me Bueno now, and he goes straight in that team instead of Murphy for me. But you just don't know if he's actually going to perform.
Yeah.
For
Well,
us, the way he's been performing for Brentford.
You can say that about anybody, man. You can say
But
that about.
We know how Murphy's performing for us. Now, some say not good enough, but you look at his stats and they're pretty good.
Yeah.
I think we do need to move a body out though, and like I say, from what I've read in the report, it very much sounds like Miggy is gone or going wherever he goes. And apologise to the world out there because I did put the Olympiacos. Then I watched your guys' video on the way home in the early hours of the morning because you guys had put in the transfer show that Olympiacos had showed some some signs of interest towards Miggy. So I was a little bit behind the times when I put that up on the sheet. But I mean, that's been me this week. But, you know, it's like I keep saying, bringing players in now have to make an impact on that first 11. Now, I'm not saying that they have to come in and be in front of, because like Eddie said, and we know what Eddie Howe likes to do, he likes to bed players into the background of the squad before putting them in under the full spotlight on the pitch. Now, you know, the one thing I love at this present moment in time, and I keep saying it, you know, we're in, and I go back to the Botman saga, we're in no rush to bring him back. I go back to Pope saga, we're in no rush to bring him back. I have known times not so long back where we have been desperate to get players back into our starting 11, and maybe, just maybe, we've brought them back a little bit too early. I think at this present moment in time, we are in such a good position where, yes, they're not elite players in certain positions, but they are certainly good for the squad. And there's an element of what Wim was saying there, be careful what you wish for. And we've also heard Eddie say that. He's got to be careful not to bring in players that unbalance the squad further. And I think it's you know, we can all mention names, and like I say, we've seen lots of really interesting players that we've been linked to, that we've wanted personally within the side because they're performing so well to their parent club. But, you know, for me, it has to be a positive effect. And like I said, it's a case of everybody needs to be competing. And I've said it before, there's a potentially 8 players at Newcastle at the minute that just turn up and know that they're going to get a game. And I think that's the same with the majority of clubs. I'm not just blaming Newcastle, but there's a lot of clubs out there that have got a lot more depth than we have in certain places. But if we lose one of those middle 3, it's very difficult to go like for like and continue that momentum, because individually they all have a talent in their own little way. And again, for me, I have to praise what Eddie's done to J7, because he's looked a totally different player again. I love the fluid movements, but when it goes to that right hand side, and I said it before, should the right wing be the priority over a right centre back? And now you're starting to see the reasons why I said that, because having 3 left-footed centre-backs now, we are going to be one of very few clubs that will definitely play this weekend with 2 left-footed centre-backs. I can't remember another team doing that, because predominantly, as was said in the presser, it's right-footed centre-backs that play along each, you know, one's left, one right. So, you know, for me, it's going to be different. Whoever he brings in, I'm hoping they will hit the ground running. And there's a lot of negativity against what Kelly's played, and he's not been the player that people have expected. I think there's a lot of pressure on Kelly, and I said this before. When you're coming into a team that are doing well, it adds a lot more pressure to you, because you don't want to be seen as the one that makes the mistakes. So it's the mental side of it, and playing out of position to a degree. Have you got the knowledge, the mental know-how, where to place yourself? And I think Eddie Howe must have worked whoever he's planning on bringing in, and I can only assume it's Kelly, because I still think it probably is a little bit too soon for Botman to come in from the start. But I certainly wouldn't think he'd be on the bench.
That's interesting, though, because I think from what he said in the presser today about Botman, you know, you can almost assume that some would assume that he would start, because I don't think I've ever heard him say, you know, as he said in the press conference. I think he was very, gave me the impression to be very positive. You know, that people shouldn't be surprised that he would be on the starting lineup.
Yeah.
You know, he might go back to his ways of weighing and stuff. But
well, what he said was, I've always said with Sven, he'd be in and around the Christmas games. He's worked incredibly hard to get into a good condition. A lot of internal training, some match stimulus. He's in and around my thoughts. I'll have to make a decision who best fits that position. You go through a process with his injury. He's done an incredible amount of work. We've taken longer than normally we would have done, out of respect for the injury that he's had. Paul Bunt's got out to do with that. I've got a decision to make in terms of Saturday's team selection. But if Sven is in the squad, it's because he's ready.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, in other words, if Sven's in the squad,
not to be surprised, basically. Well, no, the
I was
squad.
a
I think
little
he'll
bit-
be in the squad.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
I was a little bit disappointed what nobody asked about Kraft and how far away he's back from his collarbone injury.
well,
True.
I don't
Nobody
know.
asked about him.
I haven't seen anything on him for a while now.
No. Well, we
Yeah,
haven't
but he
seen
should
anything
be.
on Lascelles, but they reckon he's very close to returning.
Yeah. Well, Lascelles and then Kraft. Who else we got?
Lascelles was definitely whereas Sven was always forecast for December. Lascelles was always forecast for January, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, like I say, it'll be
haven't seen him in
February. I
any
would have
training
thought. No,
photographs.
nor me.
All right. Well, any other points that we can bring up about the presser that interested you guys?
He was bigging up my man BDB, saying he was a much better player than he thought he was when he signed him. It's been fantastic. As regards Miggy's exit, he said at the minute we need him.
Well, he's always going to bull up his players, isn't he? That's what I said when they're part of the squad, regarding whoever's coming for them, likes of Charlotte coming in for them, you're never going to say, yeah, he's gone. You know what I mean?
And the other thing that he said, which 2025, is this the year? Is this the year? And he said that's what all the players are talking about. Getting some silverware this year.
Yeah. Going to go to try and do the best in the cup, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
it's Tuesday. Tuesday is the day to line ourselves right, if you will. One of my big takeaways, he called Sandro Sandy, so that gives me hope. That gives me hope that he won't take him off any longer. So I think that's just a little more cement to the mix to just solidify Sandro in there. Sandy, my goodness.
Yeah, he's obviously been doing a bit of grease. Grease is the word, isn't he? With Sandy, he's probably dressed up as John Travolta over Christmas.
Oh yeah.
You're the one that I want. You're the one that I want. Ooh, Sandy, the one that I want.
Yeah, love it.
Don't forget tomorrow, folks. We'll have the match 1 hour before kickoff, doing the build-up, and of course the live match commentary, and so on and so forth. So, and obviously the full-time reaction, etc., all in one day. I think that's it for the show. We've had a great one. Really, a lot of people tune into this one, so thank you. Appreciate you. Subscribe, hit the like button. Very important. Share with your friends, your Geordie friends about the channel. 24/7 coverage every single day of Newcastle United. So stay tuned. And it's been a great show. Thank you so much. From me, Mighty Wayne, Gary, and Sandy. We will see you all tomorrow, 1 hour before kickoff. It will be 11:30 a.m. our starting time. Match starts at 12:30. So there we go. So we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you to all the chatters. Thank you to everyone. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
How are the lads?